So today is January 12th, 2025, which means we're 12 days into the new year. We've officially completed our first full week. So the question is, have you put the last year behind you? Are you well into your goals for the new year? I mean, isn't that what we do at New Year's? We try to put the past behind us and we set these goals for the new year. Now, I'm as human as the next person. And like so many others, I thought about the big changes in my life this past year. The big changes I know are to come. And really a lot about the state of my life, where it is versus where I want it to be. And I really found myself looking back and thinking about the circumstances that put me in the negative positions I still find myself in, all the things that are wrong. And even as I was reading through this script this morning, getting ready to record this, I think about the question of karma in there, but separate discussion. But I looked back and I thought about all the things that were frustrating me and how I want those to change. But I also thought about all my blessings for the year. And, you know, as much as we all really want to focus on those, we can't help but think about the struggles too. And like I said, specifically, I found myself thinking about maybe bad decisions I've made years and years ago that account for the present still and contribute to the struggles I'm going through. And that really got me thinking about the point of today's podcast, and that is that you can't move forward. You can't go forward without looking back. And that's kind of unpopular to some people because it's dangerous and you don't want to get stuck in the past, right? You don't want to live in the past. But that's also kind of my point. I mean, I'm saying it in a different way because I'm talking about going forward. But I think you have to look back sometimes. So, even though I talked about the new year, I've never been, it's kind of weird because I've never been one that's been big on resolutions in the traditional sense. I mean, I think I was at some point, and the reason I got away from it is because things didn't pan out the way I wanted them to. Now, I was a different person then, and I understand why things didn't pan out for me because I didn't make the changes I needed to accomplish the things I wanted to accomplish. I don't take that same laissez-faire attitude anymore, right? But, and as I said last year, I think, every day is a new day. Every day is a new opportunity to work towards what you want. But what people do at the first of the year is we set these resolutions and these goals for the new year, these things we want to get done. And I think whether you're conscious of it or not, when you do it, you are looking back. Even if it's as simple as I want to lose 20 pounds this year, I want to quit smoking, I want to take an exotic vacation. We set those goals because we gained weight or we didn't lose it like we planned on. We didn't quit smoking like we said we would, or now it's an issue and we're at a pack a day, right? Or, we've never taken that vacation we've wanted to, right? So you're looking back on some level, even if it's looking back and saying, well, I didn't do these things. And there's no doubt your mind goes to the reasons why, right? In fact, this look back's all over the media at the end of the year too, right? You watch the news, the award shows that are coming around the first of the year. They have all these specials looking back at the year, the people who died. The news will have the big news stories, big changes that occurred, right? We all get our Spotify on Wrapped. Shout out to Flip Turn, my number one artist. But your song selection really tells you what mood you were in all year. On New Year's Eve, my partner and I stayed up till midnight, right? We watched the ball drop. And in fact, they weren't singing Auld Lang Syne at first, but then they were singing, and my partner even made a comment about that. But then we saw some people singing Auld Lang Syne. And the song starts like this. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot in the days of Auld Lang Syne? So I did some quick Googling, and the song is actually based on a Scottish poem written by Robert Burns in 1788. And the words are really about the same, but it starts out the same way. Should old acquaintance be forgotten, never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and Auld Lang Syne? So Auld Lang Syne means for old times. So, the way we talk, you'd say like, for old time's sake. But the thing about this first verse is it's a question, not a statement. The question is, should old acquaintance be forgotten, never brought to mind? Should we just forget about it for old time's sake? Should we just forget about these old friends and things from our past? Now, they're saying it a little sarcastically because the next verse, which is pretty much the last verse too, it says to raise a cup of kindness for old time's sake. Most people take the point of the song as focusing on the friendships you have, right? The things that are valuable to you. And the question about should old acquaintances be forgot is a little sarcastic, a little tongue-in-cheek, the point being to remember your past fondly. So, like I said about today's episode, in that song, remembering your past friendships fondly, remembering your past fondly, right? It really got me thinking about, and even that song does it, looking back, but moving forward, going forward. And I realized kind of two things. You can't go forward without looking back, but you should only be looking back when you're going forward. Otherwise, you're going backwards, right? If all you do is look backwards, you move backwards. So let's talk about what I said first. You really can't go forward without looking back. I know some people might want to argue with me on that, and I get it. Why look back? Move on. I'll get to that, right? But the best analogy for everything I have to say today for both those points is about driving. It is driving. I mean, think about when you're driving. Just picture yourself driving forward down any street. It can be busy or not busy. It can be a residential neighborhood street, a highway. You can be out in the country, wherever you want. Just picture yourself driving forward, right? And whatever speed you want. Even if even if you're on a deserted highway and you're flying in your convertible at 90 miles an hour, right? You're inevitably at some point going to look in your side mirrors or check your rear view mirror. I mean, think about driving day to day. How many times do you check your side mirror and check your rear view mirror? Even if we think we're the only car within 100 miles, I'm still telling you, you're going to do that. If you're going 10 miles, 5 miles an hour through a parking lot, or 80 miles on the highway. And you do that because when you're conditioned to. And you're conditioned to because when you learn to drive, you learn that the unexpected dangers come from the side and from behind you. They can come from in front of you too. We learn about keeping a safe distance. But the unexpected dangers are most likely to come from the side and from behind you. And that's why you need to look back to go forward. We need to look backwards to be sure no danger from our past is going to sneak up on us. Now, I don't mean secrets in your closet, but yes, it could be that too. But it's so much more than that. We need to look back to make sure we don't make choices that we now realize weren't so good for us. We don't make them again, right? Because that's really the bottom line. Ultimately, we're looking at our position in life right now, usually something we're unhappy with, and the choices we made in the past that put us there. And we do that, and we look at those things because we don't want to repeat those bad choices. We do that so we understand why we made those bad choices. And we're doing that so we can learn better choices that can put us in a position better than we are in right now, so we can move forward. A few minutes ago, I said, ultimately, we look at our position in life right now. Usually we're something unhappy with, right? But we need to do it with things that made us happy and got us there too. Because no matter how bad things might be for you, no matter what might be wrong, right? There is always something to be happy about. There's always just one thing, at least. And you should be asking yourself, how can we repeat those good choices? What did I do to get those blessings? What put me in the position for that to present itself? To be blessed with that opportunity, that news, that job, or that person that came our way. So it's not just about the danger from the side and behind you. When you're looking in that rear view mirror, and when you're looking in that side view mirror, you're also seeing the beautiful scenery of your life. You're driving down the road and moving forward, but you look to the side and behind you, because there's beautiful scenery in your life as much as unexpected danger. But the other thing I said is you should only be looking back when moving forwards. Otherwise, you're going backwards, right? And again, stick with the driving. There's a huge difference between looking backwards and moving backwards. I'm saying going forward requires looking backwards. But if you're just looking backwards, well, like I said, when you think about driving again, you're just moving backwards. You're in reverse. The only time you put your majority of the time on looking backwards when you're driving is when you're moving backwards. When you're moving backwards in a car, you're driving in reverse, and we don't do that very often. How often do we just step on the pedal and fly in reverse down the street? But you may have pulled into the wrong way on a one-way street and had to reverse out. You may have gotten stuck in somewhere on a street because of traffic and had to reverse out. And the other time we drive in reverse is when we're backing out of a driveway or maybe parking, right? Backing out of a parking spot. But when you're doing that, you're looking backwards for a minute. You might be moving backwards for a minute, but then you're straightening out and you're going forward. But even when you're moving backwards, what do? We look up and we look in front of us too. Because we want to be sure that something from our present isn't going to clip us while we're focused on what's behind us. Because that's what'll happen, right? If you're in a tight spot and you're reversing and you're focusing all behind you, and you adjust the wheel, and next thing you know, the front of your car hits something, it's because you spent too much time looking back and not enough time looking forward. You know, I live in Pittsburgh and we have a lot of parallel parking out here, and that made me think of something in the whole analogy with driving and looking back and moving forward and then parking, right? Because as you scroll your way into a parking spot, like a parallel spot on the street here, right? You're constantly kind of looking behind you or looking at your camera if you have one, but you're looking in front. If you can't get in the spot, maybe you need to circle the block and try to squeeze in again, right? And parking made me think of It's very much like settling into or cozying into a space in your life. When you work into that spot, you want, plenty of space. Work into that parking spot. You want plenty of space between you and the car behind you, right? Your past, because you don't want it hitting you in the butt when it moves. And you also want plenty of room in front of you, not so much plenty of room, but a clear sight. You want to be able to see that car in front of you. You want to see in front of you, right? You want to see what's going to be there when you're ready to move again clearly. And that's what we do when we cozy into a space in our life. We don't stay parked forever. We might be in that spot for an hour, a day, a week. It might be our regular spot. But we're always moving. We're going to take that car, go somewhere else. We're always moving. We're always moving something in our life forward is the point. Because if parking a car is very much like cozying into a space in life, that space is sometimes your career, sometimes it's your friends, sometimes it's your significant other, and that's why you're hopefully returning to the spot all the time. It's your family. But you always, when you're settling into that space, you want to put some distance between you and your past, and you want to have a good view of your future, what's in front of you. So let me recap what I told you, and then I'll tell you a little secret about how you know if you're doing it right. The recap says, you can't move forward. You can't go forward without looking back once in a while. It's that simple. Whether that past was good or bad, you have to recognize where you've been to know where you want to go. And the big secret, how you know you're doing it right, it's going to hurt. Whether it's good or bad, it's going to hurt. We've all had someone in our life that really just hates New Year's. I mean, I know people like that. I don't like to use the word hate, but I feel like I've been like that a couple of times, right? And I'm sure you've had a year where you said, I'm so glad to put that year behind me. And why is that? Why do we feel that way? Pain, regret. Whether it's pain from a really bad year, pain from something in the past you did, that pain, that hurt, it's from the look backwards. But you feel that pain because you're doing something right. You feel that pain because you're trying to understand where it's from, what caused it, how it's affected you now. And it hurts. But we do that because we want to move forward better than we are, better than we were, better than we've ever been. I also used the word regret a minute ago. And if you've listened to this podcast, you know I don't believe in regrets anymore. Just mistakes. There's an episode out there called My Last Regret. It's one of my favorites, actually, that I've recorded. But regrets are like tying a heavy rock on your ankle. It will weigh you down. It's a pain that won't go away. Let the pain subside. Make your regret a mistake. Mistakes are correctable. Regrets will sink you. So when you look back, put regrets aside, acknowledge your mistakes. That's fine. I mean, if you're not acknowledging them, you're not going to feel the pain and you're not going to get past them. You have to look back, but you have to move forward. After all, it's how you give your choices a purpose bigger than yourself. I'll see you soon.